Okay, that should get it. My name is George. Uh, Obviously, what I'm here to discuss today is how to actually survive in the Philippines. And I see people with tropical backgrounds and all that good stuff, and it's out there. It's just like today it's raining. The last month it's been so hot that if you go out there, they're literally almost put you on your knees. And so I've seen one guy how I actually make money living in the Philippines. I'm not trying to counter his information, but I want to tell you how you actually really need to do this. For one, he's absolutely right. You've got to actually whatever you've got to get up and go on before you get here to the Philippines. These houses are cheap. You can live anywhere you want. You do have to do a little bit of searching. I wouldn't live in a condo. You ain't got to live wet in the middle of nowhere neither. He's living for a lot cheaper. I think he said like $600 something suits him. I'm a little bit more whatever. I'm a drama queen from the United States. I like my luxuries and I like being able to do what I want to when I want to do it, no matter if it's in a plane, renting cars, or whatever it is. So I live a little bit differently and I like my quality of food. Outback Steakhouse, like Chili's, well, McDonald's is more of a chicken joint. And literally, this is right here. There you go. That is a beautiful wife. She is sitting here with her. She got those ears out of a cereal box. Cocoa Crunch. It was actually a koala bear, and so I'm redneck, so I don't really go for the whole jamming house. That's my tools because it's not that I do the work, but literally, here, tell them to come around here real quick, buddy.
Hey boys, come on.
Here, come around here for a second. I need to put you on this video because I want to help people in there. Come around here real quick. Come. I need y'all on here. So these are guys that actually are here at the house. Like their next door neighbor, she got some job up in Manila because we're down at Cebu. Yeah, come around here. So what they do is they come in and they actually help with. There's one. There's another. They're young guys, but thing is, for the labor, they speak. Who speaks English best? Okay, so they're still learning English, but the thing is, like I press on everybody we cross, English is a necessity. But anyways, all right, guys, you're good. Go finish killing the food in the kitchen. And so they're actually eating because they're taking a break. They've been out there. We have a rental car, and we pay about $500 a month, about $280 in fuel because me and my wife like running around. Yes, she's older than me. You could tell by the picture. But that being said, the quality of life here is totally different. Okay. But when you're actually looking to come here to the Philippines, there's some things that you need to put in place. One, what have you been doing your entire career? Okay. That being said, whatever you've been doing in your career, that needs to be if you can focus on that, that is 100% your strength. I've been in logistics. I was a truck driver. Yes, I went to college and all that stuff, but I moved into logistics just because I wanted to escape society. Didn't want to be a part of the machine. I'm not one of those people, hey, you want to be my neighbor type of deal. But that being said, what we did is I was doing truck driver recruitment, and you can actually do that from anywhere. Okay. Now, obviously, there's some things that you have to actually get. For one, Tony Sasha, you know what I mean? That's redneck. Not really redneck. Everybody knows what it is at this point. But being from down south, you got to have those different things. But when you're looking at the money that you're going to need, that whatever you've learned in your life is going to be absolutely your best bet. I literally have Americans here in the Philippines or people that are European and stuff wanting to know how I do what I do. Now, everybody pays. You're going to have one thing you're going to do. Whoever you're accessing in the United States, everybody has to pay. Now, I'm cheaper than almost anybody, and I give them everything. I mean, so what I developed is I actually developed how to teach people. So I developed teaching courses about logistics and what we do in logistics and how you do what we do in logistics. A lot of people, they drop the ball. A lot of people can't handle rejection real well. So we do have ones that don't succeed. And I can't, like they say, lead a horse to water. You can't make them drink type of deal. People, the assertiveness sometimes is liking, but those that really want to know logistics, obviously, we can get them to make them where they're making really great money, more than they'll make at any other job where you have to show up at work. But what we did is we developed into our own programs. Now, I still have backup strategies based on that. And there's been some I've learned off people and off of students, actually, of different strategies that they might mention in our webinars because we do webinars every week. But the whole thing is we teach people about logistics, how to work from home, how to be anywhere in the world you want to be. Make sure you got the basic necessities, internet. Here we have actually, if you can see right here, we've got, let me see if I can show you. We've got on the other side of that refrigerator. I don't know if I can show you. Let me see if I can pull this boom arm up enough.
You just see
But there's a, right there on the back side of the refrigerator. Can you point that out, baby? Show them where it's at. The internet, your internet boxes.
right here at the top.
Yeah. So we got two of them up there, and the reason that we have two is because. Give me a second. I got
Just the
something
nature
boom on.
of working from home.
Yeah. So like she says, it's the nature of working from home. So you buy big bags of rice, and let's not confuse something. I'm not Filipino, and I hate rice. Okay, I deal with it because that is what they eat. Potatoes are a little bit more expensive, but that being said, the internet, from what we deal with, we got two sources there. We have a black box. Where's that black box at?
Right here.
We've got phones. Put that on your phones based on the SIM card. I think we got 4 different types of SIM cards. Depending on the area that we're in, we kind of logistically figure out from the locals which internet works better in that region. And we have like a mobile Wi-Fi. So with these different points, if I can't stay in contact with my people and the trucks that I dispatch, you're out of luck. I guess we ain't gonna be talking. But that being said, the rolling blackouts. Outside, I put a generator out there. It's got enough power to push this whole house. This is a big house, by the way. Extremely big. You can't hear them. Maybe you can since I'm doing it this way. I got pocket pit bulls. We got chickens, fighting roosters, rabbits, and like tropical birds, like lovebirds. That's what it is. I want a cockatiel or cockatoo, but I'm worried if I get one because that's about $1,000, which is around 50,000 pesos. I may not be able to get it back to the United States because there has to be a lot of paperwork that legally says this bird is allowed to be harvested from the wild for a pet type of deal. Not that we're eating them, right? But that being said, that's one of the things. Living in this environment, since I live closer to the city, are there problems? Absolutely. You have to understand culture is more important than language in a lot of sense. If you don't understand the culture, you're going to have resistance. Now, obviously, there's people that will be jealous of you because of where you're from, or they look like you're a walking ATM. Just feed everybody with a long handled spoon. That definitely helps. And then have a great person in your life that is native to here. Since my wife is actually a native, we've been together over 3 years. We're still standing by waiting on the visa because we are going to have to come back to the States because I have other commitments there as well and in the logistics community. But we make, give or take, the way we do it, we make somewhere around $30,000 to $50,000 a month, American dollars a month. Yes, that makes for a great bank account. But the whole point is I try to teach people how to do this. And they have to understand we give them engagement even after the courses that where they've got that 12-month to 18-month window of being able to access me and how we do what we do. And that being said, a lot of them don't engage. They fall off. And I offer it full time. You can come anytime you want as far as, if you're a student that we're there because I have to do the webinars anyway. So it helps them out. We tried all kinds of ways, lots of scams out there. Literally, my wife took this thing to be a at-home teacher. It literally goes like this. Hello, my name is Teacher George. In fact, hold up. Maria, come here, baby. You're going to like this one. I need you to do, in fact, leave your ears on. Come around here. You'll see the feeling. But she's got a good personality. Okay, so show me what you're supposed to say when you're a teacher on the, what type of a lesson was that?
English is your second language.
Okay,
ESL.
give them the introduction.
Hi, my name is Teacher Maria. What's your name?
A lot of hand gestures, things like that. For me, I wasn't comfortable with that because I'm a little bit more serious. But she actually took the course for me, got me the certification, but it fell through because they paid pennies on the dollar. For me, I don't know what I would have done, but I wasn't going down that road once we found out what we're doing. Now, we were freight dispatch, truck driver recruiting, right? In truck driver recruiting, what you're going to find is the people from the United States. And believe me, I've got some words to say when I get back to the United States. they would say, oh, you're in the Philippines. You don't need to make as much. I'm an actual American. I'm a greedy son of a bitch. Okay. Don't play with me. Whatever's due me comes to me because I'm putting the work out to keep your machine running because I know what they make. That's one thing about knowing your industry is you know where they're scamming. There's a lot of scamming inside the trucking companies in the United States. I'm not hating on them. That's business. Business should be a cuss word, like I tell people. But that being said, you're going to feel some kind of way when those people that you think are your friends and all that good stuff in the United States, once you get out of pocket, they start playing. And most of those people come that are in the United States that someone I deal with are from third world rat holes anyways. They're not Americans. With Americans, I tell you, you have got it. You are the top of the echelon, no matter how bad we think we have it. So don't walk away. When you get ready to leave that country, make sure that everything's set up correctly, keep your credit lines going, all that good stuff. So when you exit and you feel like you need to transition back into your natural environment where we were raised, that you can easily, make that transition back into that given portion. Now, obviously, I've learned a lot of things from here that's going to make me stronger when I actually go home, believe it or not. Some of the strategies, business strategies and things that I've understood now that I've learned how to literally work virtually. So keep that in mind. But when you're actually doing that, housing extremely cheap. Now, when I'm telling you that I'm spending about $3,000 to $4,000 a month, that's pennies, okay? In the aspect of being an American. Now, there's obviously, like the other gentleman, he said he could live on $600 something a month. That's living literally locally. That is living off. I'm not saying minimal, but there's when you go to cooking, I'm from down in Mississippi, Alabama, right? Loved hanging out in Louisiana. I love the South. But that being said, number one rule, it's all in the sauce. If you ever watched Apocalypse Now or anything like that, he was going to be a saucier. But the whole thing was, if you ever understood the concepts and the precepts behind Apocalypse Now, remember what he said? Whatever, I can't cuss because I think these things will get rejected. Never get off the boat. Stay on the boat. So the United States is definitely the boat. But that being said, when it comes to seasonings and things to make great salsa and stuff, you're limited in some aspects. Not totally, but you have to have developed taste buds for that style of food. Personally, I don't particularly like a lot of the Filipino food. It's not that I'm hating on them. It's what they have available. They've been adapted to it. So when they eat real American food, they understand what we're talking about because we're heavy on spices and probably high blood pressure and everything else that comes along with it. But keep that in mind. But as far as everything else, phone, internet, some kind of laptop, tablet. Laptops are going to be better with this particular laptop, for example. And I'm showing you my house because we're selling a lot of stuff because we know we're preparing to go home. But that being said, let me see if I can get it. Bring you some monitors. Man, let me see. I've got cords around everything. Give me a second. So I don't know if you can see these, but for example, actually that's the jump. I hope you don't mind me showing his face. But this here, that's going to reflect backwards. Literally, I have 3 screens. So if you can see them, and that's going to be your best setup in here. So bring those with you. Make sure that they're portable and they're durable enough. Like for my 2 side screens that attach to my laptop, they actually, excuse me, sorry. Yes, and I gained weight because I didn't gain weight from the food I ate here. I gained weight because I stay on these computers so much because I work hard. I came from a farm, so my work ethic has always been there. And it was established by my father. He was a Vietnam veteran, so it wasn't no joke. He worked. But that being said, you can do everything without being employed here. There's ways to staff people, outsource, different things at that aspect. That's the reason even when I'm doing this, I'm telling you, look at Truck Driver Nation. I mean, the way we do what we do, it's beneficial. I got students that they're learning to do what we teach them that are in China, they're in, let's say we got China, Hong Kong, Singapore, Costa Rica, Belize, Brazil, Dominican Republic, Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, Canada, obviously still the United States. And I got one girl in Portugal. She already had her MC, but that's just an example. So you can see by helping others understand what you do for a living that they can replicate the exact same thing and be able to obviously outsource. Now, there's a lot of virtual aspects to the software that we use, because remember, depending on how deep you're going to get into it, that's a problem. But one of the biggest things that we deal with is our bulk texting issues, for example, because bulk texting is extremely expensive. Now that there's a thing called the TCR, the campaign registry, it really gives you it's a barrier. My understanding is by the federal government. So the TCR registry is what it does. When you're actually bulk texting, you have to get people to opt in and opt out. Everybody's more or less familiar. And the people behind that is TCR, but they really don't have no good customer services. Customer service is all through emails. So you get a lag time. Okay. Now, if they're called 10DCL, like simple texting and stuff, it's a lot faster to get approved by the TCR. So you can actually start campaigning through the service providers like T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, et cetera. Problem is, it's got a cap at, like, say, I think it's 2,000 for T-Mobile, if I'm right, for which service, and then it'll shut you off on simple texting. So the best one I thought I had was Ring Central, but they're not, like, literally they don't train. I should never even say train. They cut us off without us even knowing for I forgot how many weeks, because we weren't compliant, and we thought we were 100% compliant. But now, even after the fact, they won't reestablish us through the TCR. So there's some holes in there where it leaves you hanging out when you've done your absolute best to follow, because it's in our best interest that we stay compliant, right? We're outside the United States. I need to make American dollars. I can't work for no peso, right? So that being said, when you're doing that, not to make this long and drawn out, go in depth with each one of their policies and procedures to understand and make sure, like, for example, Ring Central, on what they can and can't do, or what they're not training you on, and put the remarks out. Lots of them have great customer service for the most part based on their product, but as secondary to that product, any third-party interventions that they have into it, they totally suck at it. Also, Nextiva was a good one. VoIPs, whether you have to use a VPN blocker or not, is a give or take given situation. If you're using federal government sites, like for us, it's FMCSA, DOT type of thing, where we actually use SaferWeb, them type of things, and so that's one thing you have to be aware of. Now, one of the pluses for actually going through these depths of being able to do this. So, if anybody knows anything better for simple texting that doesn't cause a lot of problems, is not expensive, or even that it's basically, I love free. So if you're somebody that can actually make this happen for us with our bulk texting, where we can interact with our own software, because we have to protect the contact information, because information and data is, one of those things we have to protect. Otherwise, people will steal identities and that type of stuff, because we have a lot of information when we're actually dealing with logistics that we have to protect. And we get a lot of people, non-disclosures, all that type of stuff we have to do. Whether they stand, I just want to know who you are to make sure that, you're not going to turn around, cause problems for me, and I've got Secret Service or the FBI or something like that. I'm not going to be the one standing in the room without a shirt. Because if we gave you data, we don't give it to nobody else type of thing. But that being said, for you that want to actually live abroad in the Philippines, this is a good place to be. Now, the only aspect of the culture and the environment, some of it is actually works against you, because there's always some kind of criminal in the mix of everything, and you can easily get wrapped up in their system. So I fight with everybody. I mean, I in the United States, I don't resist the authority that's over me, because I understand my system and my rights. Yeah, I don't really think there's no Second and Fourth Amendment rights here, okay? In fact, I wouldn't even call this a democracy. But that being said, it is a tribal type of system that's set up based on the mayors, who's on, they're all, I'll have to leave it because I'm still here, but just be advised of that. Okay. You're not in the United States no more. Okay. So, and my wife protects me. She keeps everybody away from me, that type of thing, unless I decide that I can engage. Because, like in the United States, I can read people, know if they're a meth head, know if they're a genuine person, know if they're a business owner, those type of things. Here, you're not going to know. It's just hard to read the people, because language barrier, culture barrier, and overall general atmosphere. But when you arrive here, keep your guard up until you get settled down and settled in and understand the community that you're going to be in. And I don't really, in the South, we reach out, hey, what's going on? But you still get drama down there. But here, it's unseen until it becomes an issue. Not that I've had that problem, but I've dealt with other people from the United States and stuff like that, and there's been stories to be told. But when you're actually wanting to live outside here, you've got to make sure you've got a revenue stream. There's people that come in here on Social Security, disability, all that. Can they live within those means? Absolutely. But it's a minimalistic aspect as from what I can see. That could be their way of living. I could be totally mistaken. But I'm an outdoors person. Okay. I love being in the swamps up to my knees, alligator hunting, whatever it is, fishing, trot lining, in the boats, on the horses, in the mountains, Colorado, up there, gold panning, all that type of stuff. I'm literally an outdoors person. Here, my wings have been clipped because most of the animals are dead. If there was ever anything here, and I haven't went and looked back in history, they killed almost everything off. There are animals on the islands, but I'm sure there was a lot more before all this got here. And as far as Filipinos, I don't see a lot of the natural native Filipinos because the Spanish were here for 300 something years, and that means a lot of crossbreeding. So yes, in the United States, we're definitely a melting pot. I'm literally a mutt. But that being said, I'm okay with it. I'm a Southern redneck white trash mutt. But that being said, keep that in mind. But when you're actually coming here, get yourself set up financially. Make sure that you've not only got the assets for day-to-day activities of daily living and being able to support your quality of life, but always make sure you got a backup. At least for the visas, in case you get wrapped up, a visa gets hung up, or anything like that. So I've been here right now. I've been here roughly almost 4 years. And obviously we're getting ready to leave and come home. Oh my goodness. I think I might kiss the dirt when I get home. It's because I miss home. I love my country. But that being said, keep that in mind. But if y'all guys have questions or anything, I don't do a lot of this content. I saw that, and I saw that he's nitpicking, trying to find little things to do to generate that passive income. I say passive. He's actually working. You should not have to work for pennies. You're an American. Okay. Get a hold of somebody like me. Find people that are actually established and understand how to live in this type of environment. And like all the furniture, everything in here, we bought everything new, except for like these tables. We got these tables at some place, and I guess I'm teaching them you don't want to invest in high dollar furniture, and there really ain't none on the level that we're used to. But that being said, it is definitely a different shake. Quality of life, maybe it goes up because you got more cash, in your bank account, but there's going to be a lot of things you're going to give up. So if you like the country, and I'm not saying live off the land, because even though I give these chickens chicken feed and everything, I don't kill these chickens. And yes, I hatch out a lot of eggs because I got an incubator and all that good stuff, but I don't really eat the animals, even though I grow them. The pit bulls, trying to bring them back to the United States because they're pocket pit bulls. It's a new breed strain that we'd be able to bring back. So I'm looking at getting those back to the United States. I got 1 male, 3 females. And they're little fat, roly-poly thing. They're muscular, but they're little bitty pit bulls. I've always been used to having big pit bulls back in the United States. In fact, they rode with me in 18-wheelers while I was a truck driver. But that being said, that would be my best advice. If you want more information, please, I leave my contact information at the end of these things. Get a hold of me. I'll talk to you about it. If you want to kind of pre-settle something down before you get here, I'm sure my wife would be more than happy. Obviously, there's always a fee for everything. Nothing in life's for free. You definitely have to implement that, because there was a point when I was transitioning from truck driver recruiter over into freight dispatcher and brokerage and stuff like that, that we were actually financially pushing, because there was a transition not within what we were doing, but within the corporate industry of the logistics industry. But make sure whatever you got that you're setting up ahead of time, those little knick-knack, build programs, all that crap, it don't pay nothing. If you really need to make money, you really want to be able to move around, go to the other countries. We go to a lot of countries. Like when I go to Hong Kong, super expensive. Literally, I think she paid $12 for a milkshake. And I got her more than one because it was a vacation type of thing, or just getting away from here because I had to leave the country every 2 years. And but that being said, keep that in mind. But if you have any questions or anything, I hope that gave you some insight onto this. I really don't know what else to think about at this given point, but please, I can do another one of these videos if I get enough. Transportation, the rental cars, literally, I wish I could take this outside. I took a motorcycle and I built it into a trike, and I put a roof over it just like a trike. So it's got a lot more power. cleaned it up, took a bike, reworked it. Because versus buying a brand new one versus buying a used one and just have it reworked for basically for what the parts cost, which are really cheap, and having it completely reworked, everything, make sure everything works. And so I came out better on that. And I even built a trailer to go behind it, 2-tier level, so I could put pit bulls up top so you can get around. We do have a car, but the fuel's expensive and the motorcycle don't cost much, and we don't really go way off. At that point, you got public transportation, which is extremely good. You got taxis, you got the trikes. A lot of stuff don't have air conditioners, so always make sure you pre-plan. Remember air con. You ain't never got to worry about a heater. It's always hot here. But that being said, make sure, if you're at that age where heat really bothers you, you just feel, it's dragging you down. It's not that I don't feel like I can't function. It just feels like I am 55 years old and the heat gets to me, right? But stay hydrated. They got drinks like this here, for example. This here is the Pocari, basically like Gatorade, except, it's probably causing cancer. You know what I mean? Who knows? But that being said, there's a lot of the drinks here you're not going to drink. It ain't going to be Coke and Sprite like the United States. Everything has a little bit of twist on the taste. So it's not going to totally be 100 about what it is. In fact, like, for example, just give you a couple of examples. Ritz is now Feta for here. It's Ritz crackers, you can get some stuff like at S&R. They got some of our native foods and stuff. More expensive. Everything import is going to be super expensive. So that's another reason. You got to learn to eat like that. Coconut. Don't get carried away with the coconuts. It does have a lot of too much of everything. It has sodium in it. It has a lot of potassium, so you don't want to overdo it. We do 2 coconuts, throw them in the refrigerator, make them get super cold, totally great. But a lot of the stuff you're going to find there's a give and take like you would expect. But there's a lot of things you won't be able to get. Like I like Twizzlers, for example. Man, there's no way I haven't had one since I left home. I used to eat them when I was driving because I don't smoke and all that stuff, and they were really expensive. I just can't bring myself to buy that. Outback Steakhouse at 22-ounce ribeye is basically just over $100 here. So we'll do that on occasion, but I can't do that every day. I don't know what the price is. I know it's went up, but it used to be like $29. You got the salad and the bread and all that stuff that goes with it, sweet potato with butter and all that on it, whether you load it out. So there's a big swap in that. So if there's anything like that, even for me, it's almost a luxury food. But there is Chris Ryan's, the high dollar steakhouse. They do have one here in Manila. There's Taco Bell up there, Subway, all those stores. So if you want that for y'all that like the inner city life or just like the ability to get a hold of food that we were raised on. But that being said, otherwise than that, you have to get used to the rice. That's the core staple. The saying is literally rice is life here. That's going to be one thing you'll have to adjust to. Potatoes are expensive, but you can get French fries that taste McDonald's. Still, those are Idaho potatoes. They taste just like the French fries at home, but you have to get on them and make sure that everything's fresh and hot. It's not that it's totally cold. I can get that food down when it's hot, but once that grease cools off, I shouldn't be eating it to begin with. But you kind of have to make those adjustments. But outside that, I'll kind of leave it at that. I hope this helped you guys out to understand what to prepare yourself for when coming here and getting the exchange rate. You're going to have to make sure that you got some bank accounts, make sure you got your savings, your business. I had left my business account a lot. I guess I left it alone too much with Bank of America, and they shut it down. So I've had to put everything through my regular bank account because I haven't been able to make it back to the States because I'm not going to leave my wife. She wants me right beside her. And that's great. Love somebody that wants me with them. Did we fight? Of course. I'm teaching her how to be an American wife. Of course, we're gonna get into arguments with each other. But we have a great understanding, a great relationship. They're totally different than what you'd imagine with other relationships you may have had inside the States or in other countries. But outside that, make sure you got those bank accounts set up. Like if we use Western Union or Remitly, she's trying to get me to get Wise. I'm not real keen on Wise yet. It takes a minute for me to start getting comfortable with somebody handling our money. Gcash is another kind of quick send money across town to somebody. Almost everything you get here, you can order and have it delivered to the house for pennies. Anything you're buying off Marketplace or any of that type of stuff. But you're going to get restrictions when you're actually trying to do stuff for the United States. Like when I'm looking at commercial equipment, because, I'm interested in doing the whole thing, going to the truck stops and promoting Truck Driver Nation. That seems to be resistance on that part. But as far as what we did and what we set up here, all those other things, they're not going to be worth your time if you're actually really a type of person that understands business. Like everybody I've met, we've made lots of money. We went broke, made lots of money again, went broke, or made money and kept sustaining it, and then something changes in the rhythm, brings it down, may not bottom out, but still brings it down. If you're that type of person, then these are the things that you definitely need to consider, because nickel and dime on the bottom, if that was never you, you're not going to feel it. I literally deal with some really rich individuals. When you're dealing with those type of masters, some of them I would actually say that they've mastered it. They know how to work people, the flow, the business strategy, and everything. For those type of people, if you're coming here, yes, you probably already have assets and stuff, saved up. But if you're coming here to retire, the medical care, I pay for everything cash. Like Maria had a ruptured appendix. Like I said, I did paramedic and nurse before I got here when I was in the States. And signs and symptoms was nothing like out of the book. And I really hadn't dealt with a ruptured appendix a lot. But we went to the ER, they discharge you. You've got to watch out on that aspect. Make sure you do your homework. The person that's responsible for your health is you. So don't take their judgment calls. Not saying that they're not quality. Some of them actually went to were trained in the United States. But that being said, I think we were there a week and everything included, that we literally paid like $6,000. It's probably short of $6,000, but was able to pay that cash. I couldn't do that in the United States. No insurance, no nothing. Okay. So that being said, that right there, and obviously that's the worst case scenario. Ruptured appendix. We're talking about not necessarily she didn't get sepsis, but she obviously had contents that would be in her abdomen, which is one hell of a red flag. So, but the overall dental appointments, everything you can get done within cheap. And like the lady that does, because I'm older, everything's starting to kind of collapse. But as that's being said, like my teeth, when they actually did the dental work, the best thing about it is they're not even using anesthetics. I mean, not anesthesia, but painkillers. And they literally get my teeth, do fillings, and they're not tearing my teeth apart. Like the United States, they'll break out a damn drill and drill your skull out, slap it full of some road tar, you know what I mean? And now your teeth are probably more damaged than what it should have been before the procedure. A lot of people don't take that into account. And that's one thing I've definitely noticed here. And I've had more than one tooth done, and I don't feel nothing, no pressure, nothing. And I'm really grateful to the dentist, and because we're in Cebu, but I've been real grateful for the quality of care when it comes to that. But outside that, appointments are a little bit more drawn out, but you can get seen because you've got cash. Okay, that right there makes it a lot easier. But the insurances, and I've been in about 6 wrecks. Scooters hitting me in the rear of the car, the rental car. One guy, taxi driver, hit us in the side, came across his lane. I'm a logistics professional driver. So I knew what to defend myself on when it came to the signage, the landmarks on the highway, the intersection setup, and all those things. So make sure you're ready to document. And because if it ain't right and it didn't happen, pay attention to detail type of deal. So, but yeah, every one of them, we, it wasn't our fault, thank goodness, or that's not the way they saw it, which it wasn't our fault. I shouldn't say it that way. That's up for interpretation, right? But that being said, just make sure that you follow the laws. You can use public transportation and never have to rent a car one, okay? But I don't like being around people all the time. I want that freedom to get away from everything. So we go up into the mountains and all that good stuff and get away from where we're at. But a lot of ferries, be prepared for that. Moving your car from one island to the other if you're going for a week. But look, they don't even care. You could literally pop the trunk on the side of the road, set a tent up, and nobody cares. That's crazy. Okay. Literally, people take hammocks and go between trees. And that's the campground. You know what I mean? Mosquitoes are not bad everywhere. Okay. But remember, dengue fever, malaria, stuff like that is still here. Even taking pets back to the United States, rabies is still an issue here. They got so many dogs that have not been treated for nothing, don't get bit by these dogs. The rats are as big as cats. You ain't got no 22 that you can hit them with rat shot and kill them. You know, I set traps. I got a monitor lizard right now that ate 4 baby rabbits. So we set traps out back. I literally took hooks with shrimp, whatever it was, got it, ended up catching somebody's feral cat. But it ain't somebody, it's a feral cat. It was a pissed off cat. But that being said, the lizards and stuff, they're big jokers. They'll come climbing over the wall. And so, you know, you do have things like that happen. There are cobras here. I literally found a dead snakehead out back. The fangs were, man, let me tell you something. I'm used to water moccasins and cottonmouths back home, south, Mississippi. We got alligators, cottonmouths, water moccasins, and of course, you know, black runners and coral snakes and all that stuff. But that snake, if it had bit somebody, if it had, I'm sure it didn't bite somebody, but that was a big ass snake. I mean, that snake would have got you. But so, anyways, keep those in mind. There are some venomous here. I haven't seen a venomous snake yet. Knock on wood. I'm not itching to see one outside of being in a glass cage. You go to the pet stores, they got them there, but keep that in mind too. But anyways, I know I'm long-winded on this. I hope this helped you out. Get a hold of me if you need help with anything. But anyways, I appreciate your time. And the only reason I did this because this guy had it on here, and I just think there's a better approach to making sure that you don't get yourself in trouble. Be prepared. 99%, I mean, of success is preparation. So, you know, you ain't got to go off the deep end and try to bring in a camper with all the supplies you would expect for a fallout. And earthquakes do exist. I've literally got up in the middle of the night, house shaking. And if you wouldn't in the car, by the time I got to the car, you're going to hitchhike because I'm gone because I live right beside the ocean. Okay. Yes, theory, tsunami shouldn't get me here, but I'm not one of those secondary people. Well, that should have been happening. I'm always proactive. So, you know, when we had the earthquake here, I was gone. You can, baby, come here for a second. This is a testimony.
Right.
There she comes.
Make your testimony.
All right. And Lysol. How much is that Lysol per can? But it's pretty expensive. But that being said, baby, when that earthquake hit, how quick was I out the door?
Quick as you just pulled me in my sleep.
I ain't here to play around and make friends. I'm gone. Just send me smoke signals, okay? I'll know you're okay. But I didn't run up on the side of the mountain. I looked at the terrain, went down toward the southern portion. So if the mountain slides off, obviously I'm not within it. And if it's, oh, you're over whatever. Okay, obviously my training and your training is probably a little bit different. I was raised in the woods. You know, I've seen all kinds of crazy stuff that happens. Sinkholes, you name it, depending on where you're at. But anyways, that being said, I appreciate your time. If you need help, get a hold of me. My name is George. Go to our website, Truck Driver Nation. We can help you actually set yourself up where you're actually able to work from home right here. That's not $1 that I'm making by going to work at somebody's office. It's all done from sitting right here. Most time we have back screens set up, you know, because you can do that here for the virtual presentation. But here, I want you to literally say, I am sitting on my couch, kick back, I can recline it back. I have a monitor on the ceiling that runs from this projector, not to play around, but there's the projector, right? And of course you can't see it because the thing is, but we turned off the light, the picture's up there. When you got all the lights on, you know, you're playing in competition with the lumens that projector kicks out versus what the image is going to show up there. But you know, got my toolbox. You got to get some tools. You're going to need some if you're going to actually live in a house. If you want to live the, you know, old man thing where you're living in the condos, or old lady thing where you're living in the condos, that's another way you can do it. So, you know, I got right now I'm sitting here talking. I got a VA in there. She's in there working. I pay $250 a month. She works 40 hours a week, does a lot of my social media and stuff like that. That's well within our parameters, because I don't want you to think I'm a slumlord. Don't come here offering people tons of money for work. It's their economy. Okay. You're an American. Okay. You earned it. Because if you're really American, somebody in your family has served in the United States military. I'm mixed military too. I did my time. My brothers did their time. My dad did his time. My grandfather, uncles, both grandfathers, World War II, Koreans, the whole 9 yards. So that being said, don't come here pumping out money when there's no need in it. Okay. So if you need better understanding of that, please ask. But the thing is, they're going to appreciate the jobs. Like the boys out there, I'm telling you, they're out there washing cars, doing all kinds of stuff out in the yard. We'd maybe probably pay them together been working all day, maybe $10. It's actually less than that. It's 500 pesos at 56 pesos per the dollar. Right now it's at 61 pesos for a dollar, so it even makes it less than that. And that's when the times you want to go make those big money exchanges. I don't usually do more than $2,500 at a time. It's just too much cash because it actually turns out to be, well, let me show you real quick. So $2,500. I'm trying to remember where I put my wallet. I know you think, oh, there it is right behind me. Let me get it for you real quick and I'll show you. And because they use the peso here. So the peso is their currency for here. But as you'll understand, I know you're gonna think it's crazy. Like, like obviously, do I have a purse? Sometimes I feel like I had a purse. I'm always used to carrying a wallet around, just a regular old standard wallet. But here you need something that's thicker because the money's you got so much money per dollar that it adds up. Now these come in. This is usually their largest bill. It's 1,000. This 1,000 is less than $20, or roughly about $20 per these. So there ain't no $100 bills. So you end up with a handful of money. Now then remember, this right here could possibly get you crazy self killed. I'm not a night person. I'm not a bar person. If you don't have something intellectually to say to me, we probably ain't got nothing to talk about. But if you're not in business or something that has to do with the outdoors, and then yeah, we probably ain't got much to talk about. Leave it at that. But that being said, keep that in mind. But outside that, guys, if y'all need some information or anything, I'd be more than happy to help you guys out. If you go to our website, actually, you can go through Telegram. There's a place in there where you can actually literally link directly with us. It's like a load board, where I monitor companies because we deal with about 58 trucking companies, and that's built up, all done from here. Wasn't there when I did this. And also our students, our owner operators, we keep it all on Telegram. Telegram is a magnificent platform, but here, depending on the given situation. But if you need any understanding about how we do things, I'd be more than happy to share it with you. But that being said, everybody have a blessed day. Thank you for your time. And I'll see you back when we get in the States. And if somebody, one more thing, sorry, somebody that has a motorhome for sale, I need land and I need a motorhome. Yeah, obviously don't try to gouge me because I know my economy. There's a lot of people that think they're slick, whatever. I called a motorhome place and they're sitting there telling me about how expensive these are. You can go buy a used one. I'm in logistics. I know how the motor works and I know what I'm looking at when I'm looking at equipment. 24 years driving over the road. I don't know why people even attempt to insult me, but they're that dumb. But anyways, thank you for your time. Everybody be blessed and I will see you soon. Thank you.